Everybody, this is Monica Main, and I have a super exciting presentation to share with you on how you can cash in big on a specialty type of cash flowing real estate properties during our upcoming economic crisis. And you can do this without using any of your own cash and any of your own credit. I have a lot of stuff to cover in a very short period of time, so let's get started with this. So I'm going to show you my exact profit formula to $100,000 or more per month in cash flowing real estate without using any of your own money. So my success blueprint is for you. If you want to make more money, you want to quit your day job, you want to quit the business that you absolutely hate, you want to work less while making a lot more money, if that describes you, then this is for you. If you tried other business opportunities in the past, even real estate investing opportunities, and nothing's ever panned out for you, then this is definitely for you. Maybe you're tired of worrying about your financial future, sick and tired of getting up in the middle of the night, not knowing what's going on, not knowing if the economic collapse is around the corner or what this means as far as hyperinflation and how you're going to be able to support your family. If you're worried about all those things, then this is definitely for you. If you want to earn $20,000 per month in profits in your first 30 to 60 days doing this, and $100,000 or more per month in the first 9 to 12 months doing this business, then this is for you for sure. Of course, if you're one of these people that's desperately looking for that holy grail as it relates to profitable real estate investing using no cash or little cash and no credit, then this is most definitely for you. So buckle up your seatbelts because we have a lot of stuff to cover. In fact, by the end of this training, you'll easily be able to access the opportunity to be able to make these cash flowing profitable real estate investing deals in your immediate area. You'll be able to find these cash flowing properties either in your city or a nearby city close to you. You'll be able to find these profitable deals that will cost little or no money to get started. And of course, there's an opportunity for you to be able to get involved in this with none of your own credit using a very specialized strategy that I'm going to outline in detail for you in this event. You'll also be able to find out how to tap into our funding resources to be able to get you the unsecured cash you need for your acquisitions for real estate. In fact, at the very end of this, I'm going to give you a secret money source who can help you get cash for your deals, okay? So this is the part where most people don't understand, is that if you don't have money for deals, even if it's OPM or other people's money, you don't know how to network or tap into that other people's money to get started in real estate investing. Yes, you can get started in this business with none of your own cash, but you do have to get some cash from somewhere. And I'm going to share with you by the end of this presentation exactly how to get that by a secret money source that I have for you. It's a brand new source, and I'm going to share that with you at the very end of this presentation, all right? Now, warning, what I'm about to share with you sounds so ridiculously simple, you might write it off and think, oh, I already know all this stuff. You know, I already know how to invest in real estate. I know everything that she's talking about. Well, listen up. You don't know everything that I'm talking about because things do change every single year or so in real estate investing as it pertains to specialized strategies to get you started in what I call no cash and or no credit real estate investing. So these strategies do change. They are updated and upgraded. So if you think you know what I'm going to talk about, think again. I strongly urge you to go through this entire presentation with me because I'm going to share with you what the latest and greatest, most cutting edge, high profit real estate investing cash flowing strategies are and how you can get involved in this highly profitable business with none of your own money, okay? So quickly, let's talk about what you should not be doing as far as opportunities and investing, especially business opportunities that are out there. You've probably seen a lot of different things, like, for example, Amazon FBA, websites, online funnels, other kinds of online marketing opportunities, including affiliate marketing opportunities. There's way too many moving parts, and unless you're a trained marketer or an online marketing expert with some kind of cutting edge blue ocean product that not a lot of people have, you're going to continue losing money. Facebook marketing has gone through the roof. So has YouTube video marketing, Google Ads. All of the pay-per-click platforms have really gone up in price. So if you think you're going to be making tons of money online, think again. There's just way too much competition. There's just simply no money in it anymore. You should also not be flipping houses. This is a deadly game, I should say, of musical chairs where somebody's going to end up holding the bag. And if you remember how things happened after the crash of 2008, a lot of my flipping friends back then, a lot of my flipping real estate investing cohorts that were involved in flipping real estate ended up holding the bag on some of them 10, 15, 20 houses, some of them more, that they simply could not sell. And so they ended up having to foreclose on all of them and file for bankruptcy. So you don't want to be in the flipping game right now because we don't know what's happening with our economic future. I don't see that it's a great economic forecast. I know that we have a recession coming up. And the longer we've been putting Band-Aids on this recession to try to kick the can down the road, the harder the recession is going to be. And it is coming around the corner. I always have people argue with me and say, hey, Monica, maybe there's not going to be a recession this time. There's always a recession. You point in the last 100 years of our economic cycles, you'd show me a time in history when we did not go through a recession, and I will sit here and I'll wait. And I have to say, I'll be waiting a long time because you will never be able to point to any time in history where there's never been a recession, right? So there's usually a recession every 8 to 12 years. We are long past that, folks, which means that this is the longer we wait, the bigger the recession, the harder it's going to be for people. So you don't want to be holding the bag on flipping houses, and you certainly don't want to be holding the bag on not having an opportunity that's cash flowing for you. You should not be buying Airbnb properties or even small apartment buildings with the intent on doing what we call traditional rentals. So there's a difference between traditional rentals and the difference between what I call my 10X rentals, and I'll be talking a little bit more about that as we go along through here. So most of the opportunities out there are complete nonsense. It's the next shiny object syndrome. Most of you fall for it all the time, thinking that there's an easy button that you can press. In fact, I have an easy button on my desk that's red from Staples that I press all the time that says that was easy. And there's nothing out there that's going to be easy for you that's going to make a lot of money. And now what I'm going to tell you, though, this is easier than most opportunities, but there is some rolling up your sleeves and understanding some steps to be able to make this work and make it work successfully. In fact, I think we could both agree that real estate investing is never going to go anywhere. Real estate as a whole is never going to go anywhere. And real estate has gained and retained more fortunes than any other kind of type of investing out there. And so real estate is never going to go away no matter what happens with the economy. So you might as well secure your position in the economy so that way you can guarantee that you're going to have cash flow for months and years to come to hold you over and to allow you to thrive when everybody else is going to deal with devastating consequences when it comes to the economic collapse. So before I get into the nitty-gritty on what this is, there's something that you need to understand here, and that is the economy is rapidly changing. We are, in fact, at a point of no return. And unless you're already stinking filthy rich right now, I hate to say it, but since the pandemic hit, and of course, it's long gone now, but things have changed. We have had hyperinflation. Prices have gone through the roof. Things are just much more difficult to keep up with as far as bills go. People are in bigger, deeper debt than they've ever been in their entire life. And so if you want to pull out of that and to be able to get on top of that and to be able to rest easy and maybe even semi-retire or fully retire with the income that's coming in while everybody else is running around like chickens with their heads cut off trying to wonder how they can rub two nickels together to make it, you won't be part of that group. And so you need to start thinking about some kind of business or some kind of investing opportunity if you haven't already, because it's not becoming a luxury anymore of you doing this. It's becoming a requirement if you're going to survive moving forward. So even if you think that your finances are as good as they've ever been, or that you're financially okay for the most part, or that you believe somehow that you're going to finally pull through, even if things get really bad, think again. You do have to plan if you're going to be smart. So even by some small miracle, like your finances, say, for example, right now are okay, I have to tell you that wages are not increasing, okay? The wages are not increasing to be able to keep up with the hyperinflation that we've been dealing with. And things are just going to continue to pile up. And even if you think you're barely hanging on now, if you're barely hanging on now, I hate to tell you, but in a year or 2 years from now, you're going to be drowning, okay? So before you can get to that point, why not get ahead of the curve and set up a very highly successful business for yourself? So then that way you don't have to be up against the wall. It's like, I don't understand why people have to be motivated by having their back up against the wall before they'll actually pull the trigger and do something. Don't be that person that waits until you're in a terrible economic situation before you decide to do something different or decide to finally go all in on the business that you've always been thinking about. Now is the time. You don't have the luxury of sitting around, waiting around, being in watch and wait mode. Those days are long over. So I hate to break it to you, but the economy is coming apart at the seams. I like to actually show this picture because it actually articulates kind of what I mean by how things seem like they're flying, but really things are just starting to fall apart. And you can get ahead of that by being in probably the most steady, stable business out there, which is real estate. So Warren Buffett said it best. He said, well, most people won't make it in 2025. And he is 100% correct. Between inflation, between people being in deep debt, and people getting behind on their bills and not making enough money to be able to move forward and to be able to live a decent life, he's right. If you don't start some kind of high cash flowing side hustle business, you aren't going to make it in 2025. 2025 is going to be your break year. And I'm going to make sure that that doesn't happen, because it's my job to give you the very best high quality opportunities and strategies to ensure that not only will you survive, but you'll also thrive in ways that you've never imagined in 2025, instead of being one of the broken ones, somebody filing for bankruptcy, losing their house to foreclosure, losing everything because you didn't plan right. You're going to be one of these people that does plan right and does hop on the bandwagon and decides to do this, because you don't want to be one of those people, because it's only going to be one of two camps. Camp A does nothing and suffers the consequence. Camp B does something about it and is able to prosper in 2025. So you will be one of those people. So like I said, you only have one of two choices. You could either run for the hills, or you could prosper like you've never prospered before, and there's literally no in between. So the secret to investing in anything is being able to acquire the deals. And obviously, if you don't have any deals, you don't have any real estate, you're not going to have any cash flow whatsoever, okay? So that's the bottom line. I think we could all agree on that. So what I'm about to share with you is how you could acquire endless amounts of cash flowing properties without using any of your own credit, or hitting up friends and family, pulling from your retirement, or begging for a loan from the bank to get cash for your deals. So who am I, and how I could change your entire future? Most of you know me. My name is Monica Main. Here I am on the set of my PBS show called The Main Way to Wealth. And I was able to become a multimillionaire 30 years ago when I first started with real estate investing. And here's what I've been able to do over the years. So it's been 30 years since I started in the real estate investing opportunity field. I've bought thousands of units. I've sold thousands of units in almost 30 years. And in 2003, after filing for personal bankruptcy due to identity theft after the breakdown and divorce, my first divorce, I discovered the one secret behind how to gain maximum leverage in real estate investing, because I was forced to think outside of the box because I didn't have my personal credit rating anymore. And so I've made millions and millions and millions of dollars, not only for myself, but I've also helped hundreds of my students who've started from nothing become multimillionaires with my real estate investing strategies. And I know for a fact I could help you do the same if you'll just stick with me. So let's take Andrew Shaw. He makes well over $200,000 a month in net profits. And he started off using 100% of investor partner funds and private investor funds to get started in this business. And he gave me a raving review. I've actually worked with Andrew Shaw. He initially started in one of my mentorship groups. In fact, my second mentorship group I've ever done, which was in 2009. And he was actually living in his car. He had lost everything after he lost his job in, it was radio ad sales is what he was in. And so he lost his job, lost his house. He was going through a divorce at that time. And so he basically got started with me, and he became a multimillionaire with none of his own cash and none of his own credit, because he had no credit rating and he had no cash either. And so he started off with my apartment building cash flow mentorship group back in the day when I first started doing mentorship. So he's one of my most successful students. And so I've been able to build a cash flow empire in real estate solely with other people's money, and starting with lease options. It all started with 2 apartment building lease option deals in San Bernardino and Riverside, California. One of them was a 12 unit, one of them was a 14 unit. They were lease option deals. It was this old man who was in his early 80s. He decided he didn't want to be in the business anymore. He had also started off his real estate investing empire with lease options. Somebody gave him a chance when he was in his 30s and said, hey, you want to take over my buildings in a lease option? And that's how he got started. So he wanted to kind of pass that along to someone else, and I got really lucky. And so that's how I first got started in this business so many years ago. So since discovering this new real estate investing strategy, I've been able to acquire 8 houses in my first year, and I'm going to kind of outline what this brand new strategy is in case you haven't heard about it. Now, 6 of the houses were 100% sub-2 deals. I'm also going to discuss exactly what sub-2 means if you don't know what that means. In our second year, we've doubled what we've acquired in our first year, and right now we're sitting at 26 houses between Atlanta and Detroit. Most of them were acquired with sub 2. And again, I'm going to explain exactly what sub 2 is. And this is for those of you that don't want to use any of your own credit to be able to get involved in these deals. And so right now, I'm helping people in a way I've never imagined I could by simply investing in cash flowing real estate. So I'm going to explain to you exactly how you can get these no credit sub 2 deals, what kind of real estate investing you should be focusing in on if you want to get started using none of your own credit. So you're probably thinking, okay, that's great for you, Monica. You know how to do all this. You know, you're an expert. But can somebody like me do this business? And the answer is yes, you absolutely can. So take Sarah, for example. She went from a customer service rep to just under $8,000 a month. She started with me in 2022. She had a decent credit score of 718 mid FICO, and she used my no credit strategy to acquire her first 3 properties in 18 months with this method, using none of her own credit because she was using the sub 2 strategy. And now she owns $740,000 in property, but most importantly has $7,650 net profit coming in every single month. Or take Tina. She went from being a nurse to a real estate millionaire. She started off with me in 2021. She had crappy credit of 520 mid FICO. She used my no credit strategy with the sub 2 secret that I share, acquired her first 6 properties in 2 years with my method, now owns $1.6 million in property, but most importantly has a monthly net cash flow of $19,445. All right. Or take TJ. He went from being a bartender to a real estate millionaire. He started back in 2019 with me. He had okay credit, a 690 mid FICO score. He used my no credit strategy to be able to acquire 11 properties in 4 years with this method. He owns $2.1 million in property, but most importantly, he has a net monthly cash flow of $38,815 using my secret method. All right. So here's how it works in the perfect storm to make tons of cash in real estate in 2025. It works with a certain kind of property that pays 10 times more in monthly cash flow than traditional rentals. So you want to get multifamily properties. Pack in as many people as you possibly can. Using my 100% LTV funding program, you can acquire these properties with none of your own cash. And then, of course, any smaller dollar amounts that you need to be able to acquire the property or to be able to fill the property, you'll be able to use or get that money through partners or through unsecured business credit. I'm going to share with you exactly how my blueprint can bring you to $100,000 or more per month in net monthly cash flow. Okay. So who wants to know the exact 3 steps to be able to get involved in this business? Who wants to know? Give me some yeses. I need some more water. All right. So I'm going to share with you in 3 steps. The first one is to acquire multifamily properties, mostly with a 2-bedroom, 1 or 2 bath mix. And you want to use the ideal 10x strategy to be able to pack these units in so that you can make much more money than traditional rentals. I don't believe in traditional rentals anymore just because it costs too much money to acquire a property. A lot of these properties are still kind of at peak of the market, and you would literally have to put in 50% cash down as a down payment and get the very best and most favorable commercial loan terms to be able to make a property cash flow as a traditional rental. Now, if you don't know what a traditional rental is, it basically means, you know, Sally housewife and Joe Blow come in and they rent the unit from you, and that's a traditional rental. Those are very difficult to make cash flow right now because of the peak of the market and because people are still paying outrageous amounts of money for properties that simply aren't worth it because they don't have enough cash flow to be able to support the higher interest rates to get a mortgage. So you want to use my secret to get 100% all cash in. It's basically a cash out deal. I'll talk a little bit about exactly how that works. You could also use my double-edged sword method, which I'll also explain. And then you most importantly want to use my real estate investing, my new real estate investing strategy using local Section 8 to get paid by the local government, to whereas you can actually make 10 times more on a rental than you can ever make with a traditional rental. So I'll go through all of these things very slowly so that you can see exactly how the path to $100,000 or more per month in net monthly cash flow is possible for you. So let's be clear about this new real estate investing strategy. Everybody that knows real estate investing is are people that, obviously are building a lot of wealth on this planet, but most of these people have actually never heard of the strategy that I'm going to be sharing with you. And you might have heard of it too, but I'm going to share with you exactly how to pair this with multifamily properties instead of just single family homes. Now, please note, as I mentioned before, no matter what happens in the economy, real estate investing will never go away. Real estate itself will never go away, and it will always provide cash flow and appreciation no matter what happens. But even real estate investing has changed a little bit. You used to be able to buy single family homes, rent them out, and then become wealthy over time. You can't do that anymore. In fact, you can't even do that with most multifamily properties, where you could buy say a 24-unit apartment building and rent out the units as traditional rentals, and you could very well make money with that kind of investment without putting a lot of money down either. Now you can't even do that. You can't even do that anymore. A lot has changed when it comes to buying small apartment buildings, buying single families, buying rental units and being able to get cash flow. Unless you're putting, again, 50% or more down on some of these property deals, it's very difficult, if not impossible, to have any kind of cash flow coming in on both traditional single family home rentals and traditional small apartment building rentals. It's pretty much impossible to do nowadays. But there is one kind of real estate investing, in fact, only one kind of real estate investing that makes an absolute killing in monthly cash flow, because it offers you 10 times more on the rental rate, and it's a secure, guaranteed income coming in, where you don't have to worry about a tenant just blowing you off or going through the eviction process because I don't want to pay anymore, or going through the whole tenants' rights stuff. You don't have to worry about any of that when you're dealing with local Section 8 or government property arrangements with contracts with them. You don't have to worry about any of that because there are no tenant rights. They don't have any tenant rights. It's not the same as a traditional rental. You don't have to worry about not getting paid because the government makes sure you do get paid. You don't have to worry about dealing with any unruly tenants that are going to create a problem with you, because you just simply pick up the phone and call the contact that you have with the government contract department, and you can have them kicked out and replaced immediately with somebody else who wants that bed, as we call it. So it's what we call local Section 8. And local Section 8 in a nutshell is when the local government pays for housing for both post-rehabilitation drug and alcohol patients. This also applies to people that are homeless, single women, maybe who have kids, maybe women who have been abused. There's a variety of different programs out there. There's also programs for veterans as well. So maybe you're not interested in helping people in post-drug and alcohol rehabilitation, or people that are just coming out of prison and need a place to stay. Maybe you're not willing to help those people out either, but most people are willing to help out veterans. And so veterans, there's a lot of money in veteran assistance, especially when it comes to housing. And so there's a lot of different programs that local government will pay for. This is not federal Section 8. I want to be very, very clear. Federal Section 8 only provides market rent for the units. So even though it's guaranteed monthly income, you only get market rent. But local Section 8, you get 10 times more because of the way it's situated and set up, which I'm going to explain to you a little bit more about how this whole program works. So typically it's done by bed, okay? Where, unlike a traditional unit, say for example you have a 3-bedroom house and you are renting it out to Sally, housewife, and Joe Blow, you are renting the whole 3-bedroom house to them, and they can have 10 kids, they can have 2 kids, they can have 0 kids, it doesn't matter. You are just giving them the house under a rental contract for a certain monthly rate. And that used to work back in the day. You used to be able to make you some money. It doesn't make any money anymore. Nowadays, you could take that same 3-bedroom, typically you'd want a 4-bedroom at least, to whereas you can actually put 2 people per bedroom or 8 people in a 4-bedroom home. And each person is worth about $800 to $1,200 per person per month. That's a lot more money you'll ever make with a traditional rental. You don't need a license or certification to operate these homes, because we operate them at a level 1 or level 2 is what we call it. Level 3 and level 4 require special licensing, depending on the level that you want to go with. It also requires, a medical personnel and all this other stuff, depending on the state that you're in, that determines the red tape that you have to go through at level 3 and level 4. But that's why we stick with level 1 and level 2, where you basically give them a bed and a place to stay. And these different programs, like these, say for example, it's post-incarceration, a probation department will send people to your house, and they will pay have these people housed in your house, and there's about 2 people per bedroom. So that's the cool thing about this whole thing, is it pays a lot more. You can cram more people into a house, and you can get a lot more money every single month. And it's guaranteed funds, which means that you don't have to worry about not getting paid. That's the cool thing about it. And then if you have any problems with any of the tenants, they're really not tenants at all, you kick them out and you get somebody else. And you don't have to go through the court process. You don't have to go through the eviction process. They have literally no tenant rights. It's the most amazing thing ever on the planet. So anybody can get into this business, but only if you know how to do it. So no matter what is happening in the economy, the government will always continue to shell out for government-sponsored programs like these, especially like veterans, especially for the housing after incarceration, especially for post-rehabilitation drug and alcohol patients. And by the way, it's not just government. So if you're thinking, okay, well, what if all these programs are stripped away by the government? There's also local organizations, like church-based organizations, that also house people or that contract these houses out for their people, and they get donations and they get other grant programs that they can take advantage of, and they are able to also pay for these kinds of people to be housed in your units and in your houses. And so you don't have to worry about the government always being the ones that are going to sponsor these programs. There's also going to be local organizations that are not government-based as well, that also have funding to be able to help these people out in your house as well, and they pay just as well, okay? So I discovered the hard way that nobody will ever give you a plan to invest in real estate. In fact, I bumbled and stumbled my way through real estate investing probably for the first several years, and I never had really anybody share with me a plan or a blueprint. I had to literally figure all this out by myself. And then, of course, as times change, as it does with traditional rentals and not being able to make any money with it, and the increased cost to be able to get a mortgage, and the stringent mortgage requirements to be able to even qualify for a mortgage, plus having to put all this money down just to be able to cash flow. Like, a lot's changed just in the last handful of years when it comes to real estate investing. That wasn't the case even 10 years ago. And so what I want to share with you is a plan that literally nobody will ever give to you, as far as how step by step you can actually make money in the most highly profitable cash flowing real estate business. So are you ready for this? I hope you are, because I have a lot of stuff to bring to you. All right, so let's talk about the very first step. You want to acquire multifamily property. So yes, you can acquire 4-bedroom houses. I've talked about that before in one of my other groups that I ran last year, where you can actually get 4-bedroom houses, and you can put 8 people in your 4-bedroom house, because remember, you can put 2 people per bedroom. So that's 8 people in a 4-bedroom house. However, if you want to utilize a very special, I guess you could say, financing secret, to whereas you can get these for pretty much no cash down, then I'm going to share with you exactly how to get multifamily properties, why you want to get multifamily properties, and how you can actually cash flow even more than you could possibly cash flow with a 4-bedroom house, because obviously you'll have a lot more beds. You'll have a lot more bedrooms to put more beds in when you acquire a multifamily property versus a single family home. So I'm going to talk more about why you want to do this specifically. Now, first I want to backtrack just a little bit, because some of you might be wondering, okay, well, a traditional rental, you just talked about a traditional rental. Sally Housewife and Joe Blow decide to rent your house from you. That's a traditional rental. But how different is it as far as the income coming in? And by the way, this also applies to an apartment building unit as well. Like a traditional apartment building rental unit would be, again, Sally Housewife, Joe Blow renting that one unit from you. That is what we call a traditional rental. Now, what's the difference between traditional rental and a sober living or local Section 8 rental? Well, let's just take this house, for example. So a traditional rental, say the cost of the house is $100,000. The base rent that you could charge Sally Housewife and Joe Blow would be maybe $1,500 per month. Your mortgage and your expenses on this little house is $1,300 per month, $1,300 a month. So your total cash flow, if you're lucky, is about $200 per month. And, you know, the problem with that, think about this. You are responsible as the landlord for anything that goes wrong on that property. So the boiler goes out, you got to fix it. The plumbing blows out, you got to fix it. The electrical has issues, you got to fix it. The air conditioning goes out, you got to fix it. The roof, part of it blows off in a windstorm, you got to fix it. So every single time something happens, and of course the older the house, the more stuff that needs to be fixed, you got to keep digging in your pocket to be able to pay for it. So say, for example, within the first 3 months that these tenants are in the house, say there's a major plumbing problem, maybe the water pipe breaks and you have to hire a plumber to come out and it costs you $2,000 to fix it. Okay, well, if you're only profiting $200 per month, you would have to put that $2,000 on your credit card. It would take 10 months of your profits to be able to become even on that expense. And then that's you hoping and praying that there's no other expenses that come up on that property over the course of 10 months. Like, for example, the heater breaking or something else breaking to where you have to then come up with another lump sum to be able to fix it. And this is why traditional rentals just simply are not worth it anymore. And the same also goes for traditional rental apartment building units as well. It's the same exact concept, where again, you'd be lucky to make $100 to $200, maybe $300 per unit per month. And that's assuming that you absolutely never, under any circumstance, had any repairs. And we all know that that never happens. If you've ever been in the real estate rental business, you know there's always some repairs to be had. That's just the course of business. Or a sober living or local Section 8 rental. And by the way, we call it sober living. It's not necessarily sober living, because you might very well be working with post-incarceration people and has nothing to do with sober living. You might be working with veterans and has nothing to do with sober living. You might be working with, abused women, and that also has nothing to do with sober living. But we just call it sober living. We kind of use the term sober living / local Section 8. It kind of means the same thing. And so the cost of the house would be $100,000 still, but your base rent now is $9,600 a month, because you now have 8 people in this 4-bedroom house. And so your mortgage and expenses don't change. It's still $1,300 a month, but your total cash flow is $8,300 per month for this small house. What would you rather have? $200 a month, and that's if you're lucky, and that's if nothing ever breaks and there's never any repairs to be had, or $8,300 a month, and it gives you breathing room to, whereas if there are any repairs, you can more than afford to pay for it. In fact, you can use a lot of your cash flow to float that into another property or another 2 properties. So it gives you options when you're making a lot more money on these kinds of rentals. In fact, once I've understood and learned and got involved in the sober living local Section 8 business, I never want to go back to traditional rentals ever again, because I just really like how the whole management setup is. I like how I can pick up the phone and call somebody in the government agency, in the government department, to come pick up one of their clients, so I don't have to deal with them if he's starting fights or if he's doing drugs in my house. They come and pick him up and they replace him with somebody else. I don't have to deal with any of that stuff. Whenever you're dealing with a traditional rental, if somebody's on drugs or selling drugs out of the house or doing anything weird or nefarious, you have to go through the whole tired eviction process, hiring an attorney, spending tons of money on legal fees. If they stop paying, you got to go through 6 months of, having them in the house, maybe even a year, depending on some states, where it takes you forever to kick them out. And they might be damaging your house and doing all this other stuff. I don't ever want to do that kind of business again. It sucks. I'm over it. And once I've learned how to do the local Section 8 sober living system, I don't even want to ever go back to traditional rentals ever again. Like, why would anybody ever want to do a traditional rental again? And you'd have to probably have your brain examined if you did, after knowing how this whole thing works. So how would you structure a deal like this? Say this little $100,000 house we're looking at. Well, for this deal, because you're coming in as an investor, you'd have to put down 25% cash instead of 20% cash, because it is an investor purchase, plus closing costs. And without cash for your deals, it's going to be a little hard to do it this way, but I'm going to explain to you an alternative way of doing it if you don't have the $25,000 plus to be able to close on this deal. Because this is what you're stuck doing if you don't have the 25 plus to do this deal, and that is to borrow money from friends and family, to take money out of your retirement account or your savings or your home equity. You could try to use personal signature loans or credit cards for small amounts. You could fill out bank applications for signature loans, or to try to do some kind of creative financing that way. And then, of course, you're taking hits on your FICO score because of all these credit pulls on your credit report. So this is usually the traditional way of how people go into trying to find cash for deals. Even a small $100,000 house like this, you're still having to, in many cases, come up with at least $25,000 in cash plus closing costs. So this is why we now focus on multifamily properties. There's a reason for this. And that is because you can get 100% LTV on your property as long as the property is $1 million or more. So I don't want anybody asking exactly what it is, because I'm going to tell you right now, it has to be a property that's $1 million or more, and you're going to want to be right close to that $1 million. So somewhere between $1 million and say 1.5 million, somewhere in there. You don't want to go, hog wild and go for the $3 to $5 million property, even though technically you could. But I'm going to explain to you why you're not going to want that $5 million property in just a second. So you're going to be sticking with properties that are $1 million or more, not $950,000, not $800,000, not any other price point. It's $1 million or more. And if you do stick with properties that are selling for $1 million or more, namely multifamily properties, not houses, but multifamily properties for $1 million or more, you can get 100% LTV on your property deal. I'm going to explain to you how that works more in a minute. It's through my 100% LTV all cash resource. And I'm going to talk to you about your options as far as exactly when to use a 100% LTV, when to use sub 2, like how you can distinguish between the two. We're going to talk more about that in what I call the double-edged sword, okay? Now, we need to make an assessment, of course, but it all comes down to what your goals are, what you want to make for cash flow, what you see and envision yourself in investing in. Like, for example, if you're like, I don't know, Monica, I don't think I can handle a multifamily. I don't think I can handle a 24-unit apartment building. I think I'd feel more comfortable with houses. Okay, if that's the case, where you can handle, say a 4-bedroom house or 2 or 3 or 4, and you'd rather start there because it's not as overwhelming. Because remember, if you are overwhelmed, you're not going to do the business, okay? If you're overwhelmed with trying to acquire a 24-unit apartment building because you have to meet that $1 million or more threshold, and you're just like, I don't think I can pull it off. I don't think I'm ready for that yet. Then you start with single-family homes, and you start namely with a 4-bedroom, 2-bath house, okay? So if that's the case, we're going to talk and walk you through the strategy on how that would work, to whereas you can acquire these properties with none of your own credit, and you can use very little cash, and I'm going to share with you exactly how to get this cash using OPM or other people's money, okay? Because if you want to get started in this business, this is the very best way of doing it. Maybe you're just not ready for a 24-unit apartment building. You can get started with a single-family home using none of your own cash and none of your own credit. And this is what I call the double-edged strategy. So here's the double-edged sword strategy. So with the cash side, because we all have to agree that even if you're trying to do a creative financing deal, you're going to need some cash to come into the deal, whether it's to pay for a couple of different things, which could be the real estate commission. It could be to ask the property owner to move if you're doing a sub 2, or to be able to do a lease option. You want to be able to give them something to be able to facilitate a lease option deal. So you're going to have to come up with some money. But the money that you come up with can be done through unsecured business credit or partners, which I'm going to talk more about as we go along, or private lenders. Again, I'm going to be talking about these resources as we go along, so you don't have to worry or start stressing out. There's no cash to be had that you need to be able to do these deals with. On the credit side, you don't have to use your own credit whenever you deal with the sub 2 side, because you're going to be basically piggybacking off somebody else's loan that's already in place. And even better, their loan's probably got a much lower interest rate than you can ever dream of having right now, because of the higher interest rates that you can get when you walk into a bank or lender right now. So you want to keep that sub 2 contract where you're piggybacking off of somebody else's 4.5% or 5% interest mortgage, and keep that in place forever, rather than trying to refinance it and pulling it out of their name. So there's ways of getting around having to worry about whether or not they're going to take the property from you. Everything is under contracts. Everything, you do kind of a warranty deed on the property so that they can't decide and change their mind later that they want the property back. So there's ways of protecting yourself in a subject to deal, and we talk all about exactly how to do that. I'm going to share with you more about this as we go along. So the biggest secret among the wealthy is using leverage. It's called constructive debt. Robert Kiyosaki talked about this in Rich Dad, Poor Dad, where there's a difference between destructive debt and constructive debt. So constructive debt is when you're borrowing money for the purposes of building wealth. And as long as you're able to cover your loan with the cash flows of your investments or your businesses or whatever you're doing, it's then considered constructive debt, because you wouldn't be able to get involved in that business or involved in that real estate asset unless you could borrow the money from somebody else. So that's what we call constructive debt. As long as you're able to use the asset itself or the business itself or the investment itself to cover the monthly payments every month, and none of it's coming out of your own pocket, it's called constructive debt. So this is how you get rich. Now, here's the game changer. So I'm going to share with you exactly how we were able to acquire this deal with this strategy. So you can do the same thing, and here's how you do it. You choose a home listing that's on the MLS. It doesn't matter if it's homes.com, Zillow.com, does not matter. And you want at least a 4-bedroom, 2-bath house that's been sitting on the market for several months. So that's the key there. It has to have been sitting on the market for several months. The longer, the better. 6 months or more is even better. So you want to call or meet the listing agent. So I always have students that make a huge mistake. They just call any agent in that area and say, I'm interested in this house at this address. You don't want to do that. You always call the listing agent, the agent who's on the listing, and you ask him or her if the seller would consider a creative financing deal. And before you finish the sentence, you say, and I will guarantee that you will get your commission no matter what happens, as long as we close, okay? We close on this deal. So before you finish the sentence about the creative financing deal, you say, and if I was able to also make sure that you're guaranteed to get your commission as well upon the close of the deal. And then that way they're not thinking it's some kind of fly-by-night, sketchy, shady kind of deal where they're going to get screwed out of their commission because you're doing some kind of backdoor thing with the owner on some creative financing thing. They know that they're going to be getting their commission, and you'll be able to use that OPM money that I was sharing with you, and then I'm going to go into more detail about as we go along. You're going to use that OPM money to give them their commission on the property. Usually the seller pays the commission, but you'll be paying the commission on these special subject to deals. It's kind of like a lease option deal in a way. So you make the offer to do the subject to arrangement with the property owner. So to close the $100,000 deal, you'll need to cover the listing agent's commission, which is around $5,000, any mortgage arrears. So if, say, for example, they're in pre-foreclosure, say this house is 2 payments behind, maybe their property tax are in arrears, might be $3,000. So you might have to come up with about roughly $10,000 to close this deal. Then you're probably wondering, well, Monica, where do I get the money? Hello. It's like, okay. Well, let's talk about your options on the $10,000. Well, you can use cash on hand, if any. If you don't have any cash on hand, then let's skip that part. You can use your business credit, unsecured credit, as long as you have a mid-FICO of 720 or above. You can use this option. You can also borrow from one of my unsecured credit sources, like the one I'm going to reveal at the very end of this presentation. You can use one of those sources as long as you have a 680 or above mid-FICO. You can use this. Or, and I don't even have it listed here, you can use our partnership option, where it doesn't even matter what your mid-FICO is. You can actually use our partnership option to be able to close this deal. So those are your options to be able to get the $10,000, to be able to close the deal, to be able to pay the commission, to be able to pay any arrears on the mortgage or the property taxes, and to be able to maybe even pay the owner to move. You could basically get that $10,000 using these strategies, maybe a couple, maybe 2 or 3 of these strategies. Maybe you use our partnership option, but there are ways to be able to get the $10,000, all right? So that's one way. And by the way, a lot of people don't realize that accessing OPM or other people's money is much easier than you think. You just have to understand the key core secret behind it. Now you're probably wondering, well, Monica, what is the secret? And my secret, my most popular secret, my most effective secret is my corporate credit stack attack. And that is what we call the perfect credit storm. The perfect credit storm is to have a personal mid-FICO above 720. I prefer 750, but 720 at least. You want to start your first S corporation in your home state. It could also be an LLC as long as it's elected as an S corporation through IRS form 8832. So if you don't want an S corporation, then you can get yourself an LLC. A single member LLC must file form 8832 through the IRS.gov website. And then you can make sure that you elect yourself as an S corporation to be able to be treated as a single member LLC. So you want to be able to get also an employer identification number. This is essentially the social security number of your company. You absolutely must have it to open up a bank account, to get business credit, et cetera, et cetera. I like AmeriLawyer.com. You can use somebody else if you like, but AmeriLawyer.com is who I've been using forever. You could also use my secret banker to be able to get a business bank account and an unsecured business credit card. This is Bank of America. Doris, she can actually open up a bank account for you. Or you can go on bankofamerica.com. That's usually a lot easier. She's usually recommending people to go to bankofamerica.com to go directly online to be able to get a business bank account. You could also get a business bank account online with chase.com as well if you don't want to work with Bank of America. But Bank of America right now has a deferred interest of 7 to 9 months on their credit card deals right now, and they can also link your business credit card to your checking account. So then that way, if you ever go overdrawn, your credit card can pick up on the overdrawn balance. And so that's what's cool about Bank of America. You also want to apply for 3 business credit cards at the same time. I recommend Costco, Citibank, Visa. I recommend American Express, like a Delta American Express or like an Amazon American Express, and the Chase Inc. card. Chase Inc. will give you about $50,000 in unsecured credit off the bat. So you want to apply for all of those at the same time. And preferably with Costco, you'll go directly to Costco, to the member services area when you walk into the store. And ideally, you will walk in and get it. You can get approved on the spot with your Citibank Visa. That's how you can get a higher amount. I've noticed is people, my students that go into Costco and apply versus trying to apply online, they usually get a lot more money when they apply in person. I don't know why that is. So then you want to wash, rinse, and repeat every 3 months. You want to get a second corporation or LLC. You could choose from one of the anonymous states this time. So this time it doesn't have to be in your home state. This time it can be in Nevada, New Mexico, Wyoming, or Delaware. Those are the anonymous states. And if you pay an extra fee, you can be 100% anonymous. And so I prefer Wyoming or Delaware. Nevada is usually where everybody keeps their boiler rooms and they try to do sketchy IRS stuff. And so the IRS has been cracking down on a lot of the Nevada corporations. So I don't know that I get a Nevada corporation unless I live there. If you live in Nevada, then definitely get a Nevada corporation. But if you don't, then I recommend considering Wyoming or Delaware. So your second corporation can be anonymous. Your first one probably shouldn't be, but your second one can be. And this can be an LLC, which means that your original corporation can be partner number 1 on your LLC for your anonymous state, and you yourself can be number 2 partner on your, say, Delaware company. So say you want to start a Delaware LLC and you have an S corporation in your home state. So if you have an S corporation, your S corporation can be partner number 1 on your Delaware LLC, and you yourself can be partner number 2 on your Delaware LLC. So then that way now you have 2 partners on your LLC, and you don't have to file for an S election, an S corporation election with Form 8832 through the IRS.gov website. You don't have to do that because you have 2 partners. Okay, you only have to do the 8832 form through the IRS.gov website if and only if you want to be a single member LLC. You want to get also your new EIN for your entity, and you want to get yourself a second business account. You could also get a second credit card if you want to use Bank of America or Chase or whoever. You want to also get a second set of credit cards, American Express, Chase Inc. You could also choose from U.S. Bank, Chase Premier, World of Hyatt, Visa. All of these are business bank cards. Do not get a Discover Business. Do not get a Capital One Business Sparks card, because they'll report on your personal credit reports, and you don't want that. So those are the only 2 credit cards I recommend that you avoid that are business credit cards, is Discover Business and Capital One Business Sparks. But other than that, all the other ones do not report on your personal credit, okay? So you can also use my secret unsecured sources too. You can get 100% of the cash you need for these resources for your transactions, for your real estate acquisitions. So let's talk about the 100% LTV loophole. So you must, again, purchase a building. It has to be a commercial building, so 5 units or more in an apartment building. And it has to be $1 million or more in the final purchase price. All closing costs are rolled into what we call the bond. And this also includes rehab costs. So if you need, say, for example, $100,000 in rehab, you could also roll that into the bond. And you could qualify for the 100% LTV bond funding. Now, here's the caveat. You have to raise 2% or $20,000 on that $100,000, and this $20,000 can be acquired through unsecured business credit, or it can be acquired through partners. And I'm going to talk more about the partners as we go along, okay? So a 100% LTV bond is not a loan. I just want to be clear, a bond is not a loan. A bond is basically a pool of investors. Say 10 investors decide to put $100,000 each into your project. And so they look at your business plan. There's a liaison company that we work with in New York, and they basically take your business plan and they basically give it to the pool of investors, and then everybody puts their $100,000 in. This is just an example. There might be 4 of them, so each puts $250,000 in, and then they raise your $100,000. And so you have to pay 2% for them to raise that million for you on your behalf, because they have already the investors in place. They already know who to go to get the investment, and you don't have to worry about trying to find all these different investors. They work with only accredited investors, and they already have a Rolodex of people that they work with consistently. And so these people will then get almost like a dividend off the investment based on the interest that's paid on the $1 million. So it's kind of like a syndication deal. So let's talk about the dollars and cents and how this is so freaking profitable for you, and why this is the only kind of real estate investing, or pretty much the only kind of business that maybe you're considering doing, and it's a really good business strategy because it is so profitable. And that is using our local Section 8 or sober living strategy by essentially getting paid by the government or other agencies. So there's other agencies that are not government agencies that can also pay you for these people coming into your house or your units. So while everything else goes down the tubes, the government usually always has funds for programs, even on the local level. You could put 8 to 9 people in a 4-bedroom house, getting paid between $800 and $1,200 per person per month. You don't have to be licensed. You don't have to have a certification, as long as you're remaining at a level 1 and level 2. And once you get your feet wet, if you want to be a licensed or certified home, you can get between $7,000 and $9,000, sometimes much more per person per month. However, I will warn you, there's a lot of licensing that's required. There's usually medical personnel that has to be on staff, and it's a lot harder to be able to make this happen. So I recommend that you start with a level 1 or level 2. It's basically, here's the room, here's your bed, here are the rules, hope it all works out. That's basically what level 1 and level 2 is. You just have to make sure that your home is furnished. You have to have furniture in there. You have to have a bed in there. You have to have a set of sheets for them and a pillow and some blankets. And if you have a house, you have to have a laundry facility, which basically a washer, dryer with some detergent that you have to provide. You have to have all the utilities on. You have to have plates, dishes, utensils, furniture in the living room. That's all the stuff that you have to have in your house. So it does have to be a furnished house. Does not have to be brand new furniture. You can get stuff on Facebook Marketplace. You can get stuff at Goodwill. Does not have to match. Does not matter. It could just be the basics. And so it doesn't cost you that much to be able to furnish a house or an apartment unit for this. But this is what's cool about this whole thing, is that you don't have to have a license. You don't have to be certified at all. So option 1 to be able to acquire the properties with the no credit strategy, or the no credit secret, is using the subject to strategy. So this is how I was able to acquire $2 million in houses in less than my first year. So the total acquisition cost for me, which was 100% other people's money, was $144,000. None of that was my own money. I borrowed all of that, and I used none of my own credit because they were all subject to. And so I essentially took over everybody's mortgage on these houses here. So these 6 houses that you see, I basically took over their mortgage, and I did what's called a warranty deed to protect myself, so then that way they couldn't change their mind later and decide that they wanted their house back. There's a warranty deed that changes with the county, and so my company name is on that now, and I just keep making the monthly payments to their mortgage company, and as if it's still them, but I'm making the payments, and it's coming out of my business bank account, and I get the best interest rate from years ago that you can't get today. Like one of these houses is like a 4% interest. Like, I'm not going to refinance that for the higher interest today, especially since half of the mortgage is already paid off. Like, why would I do that? So that's the cool thing about doing subject to, is that there are so many houses that have been sitting on the market forever and ever and ever, and they're not selling. And that's because, you know, the market is starting to change. And so people still want to move. They still want to get out. A lot of them are desperate, and when you come along with your subject to deal that you work through the listing agent on, and you have the listing agent become your partner in that, not really technically a partner, but, you know, like the person who's selling the deal to the owner, saying, hey, this is a great deal, it's better than nothing, knowing he's going to get his commission, then, you know, you have somebody who's going to help you facilitate the deal, and you don't have to be the one that's knocking on their door saying, hey, let's do this deal, because you're going to just look like a freak and a weirdo, and they're not going to want to do the deal with you. However, if their listing agent is coming back saying, hey, it's been 6 months, we can't sell your house, however, we got an offer, and it's an offer I think you should consider, then they'll consider the offer, and that's how you do subject to. And you're not going to get all of them, but out of 10 deals, you'll probably end up doing like at least 1 or 2. And it's a numbers game, just like anything else. So what was the total cash flow, you're probably wondering, for these first 6 houses that I got? Well, let's go through it. I made a gross of $52,605 per month, and then of course we had to take off the expenses, which is $24,324 a month. That includes the mortgages, taxes, insurance expenses, utilities, all of it, maintenance. So the profits on these first 6 houses, $28,281 a month. Okay, so that's how much from these first 6 houses using none of my own money and basically piggybacking off of somebody else's very low interest mortgages. Okay. So meet Benny. He was a starving real estate agent, and then he acquired his first 4 transitional community houses in 8 months. And these first houses are giving him a monthly cash flow of $17,683. So this is really a no-brainer because you're essentially getting these cash flowing houses for free using other people's money. It's pretty freaking amazing. So what if you don't want to do subject to deals? What if you'd rather just go through the more conventional route to acquire properties? Well, I do have private loans with no income verification, reasonable interest, and some pretty amazing lenders and money people and private investors. And they don't care about the shaky personal credit as long as the actual investment is pretty solid. All right. Now, the cool thing is they won't even take equity stake in the deal either. Not all of them. Some of them want an equity stake, but some of them don't. They just basically want a reasonable interest. Now, the reasonable interest is going to be higher than your interest by going into a bank and getting a mortgage, but sometimes that's the price you got to pay to get involved in real estate. A lot of people are like, oh, I don't know if I want to pay the 8% or 9% interest. It's like, okay, so you would rather have no cash flow with no deal and acquire nothing and have 100% of zero than to give up a little bit of your cash flow to be able to get in the game, to be able to start making money as a real estate investor. Again, no brainer. That should not be anything I should have to broach to you or ask you about because you should already know the answer. You'd rather have something than nothing. So option 2, this is the no cash secret where you can use the 100% LTV bond funding strategy. So take an actual group deal that we're working on right now. It's a $1.25 million 24-unit apartment building in Detroit. And so it actually has 5 additional basement units that could be renovated to offer extra monthly income. The renovation budget is about $100,000 to renovate those 5 additional units. And so it has a total of 48 bedrooms because remember, we're not counting the units, we're counting the bedrooms. So even though there's 24 units, and then once we renovate the basement units, it's going to be 29 units. If you add up all the bedrooms, there's going to be 48 bedrooms. So after all expenses, this building is worth approximately $50,000 per month in net profits, with the total acquisition cost of $28,500 because of the bond funding program. This is only possible due to the 100% LTV bond funding program. It would not be possible any other way. So let's talk about the fees. So the bond funding fee, which is credited back at escrow, is $3,500. 2% bond fundraise is approximately $25,000. Remember, it's 2% of the total purchase price. So to be able to raise $28,500 just to get a monthly cash flow of $50,000, again, no brainer. I mean, even if you couldn't get the money any other way, certainly you can get $28,500 from friend, family, somebody. But the good news is you don't have to, because you can use other people's money, especially the credit stack attack, to be able to raise that $28,500 to get that cash flow of $50,000 per month. I mean, seriously, that's a no-brainer deal, right? And this is our group deal that we're working on right now in our very specialized group. So you would literally only need 2 of these deals to give you a net profit of $100,000 per month in cash flow. That's all you'd need. And you could literally retire. And that's it. It's over. I mean, if you think about it, more than likely you'll be able to retire with $50,000, right? $50,000 per month. I mean, maybe you don't need 2 deals. Maybe the 1 deal is good enough for you. So even better, you can actually do these group deals where you only put in a very small percentage of the cash. So you wouldn't even be able to put the $28,500 in there. You would put in a small percentage of that. And the cool thing about the group deals is not just because of the lower entry as far as the money goes, but the most important part is to do no management of the property. So you wouldn't handle any of the renovation. You wouldn't handle any of the filling of the units with furniture and all that good stuff. You wouldn't have to worry about any of the day-to-day filling of the units with people, or kicking people out, or calling the government agency to come get people, or to fill anybody as far as empty beds. You wouldn't have to worry about any of that. That's the most important part about doing group deals, is that you don't have to worry about any of the management at all. So how many of you would be interested in discovering exactly how to do these deals, to whereas you can do group deals and do no management and make money? I mean, that's talk about the ultimate financial freedom lifestyle there. That is it. I mean, you'll literally find that nowhere else. So let's get into detail about, how this is possible for you. I also wanted to talk about one of my success stories, Aaron Dunlop. Some of you have probably met him over the years. He's spoken at several of my events that I've done. And he literally came to the United States from Australia with little money, a visa, and no social security number. I remember having a conversation with him. It was September of 2010. He came to my Los Angeles apartment building cash flow event. That's the first time I met him. And he literally had me at the bar. He's a big drinker, by the way. And he had me at the bar till about 3 in the morning, asking me every question possible as far as how to get involved in apartment building cash flow real estate. And so what's cool is that I was able to kind of guide him through the whole process. And what I guided him through was basically using investor partners to fund his deals. And that's exactly what he was able to do. So yes, he was finally able to get himself a social security number and get himself a really good, phenomenal credit rating. It took many years to do that, but the key to his success was to use investor partners to fund 100% of his deals. And that's why he's a multimillionaire today. So he decided to finally specialize in mobile home parks instead of multifamily. He didn't want to be in the multifamily business. So he did the multifamily thing for a little bit and then decided to go into mobile home parks, which became his specialty. And that's usually what happens is a real estate millionaire is you'll start off doing something, realize that something else is better for you, and then go off and specialize in something else. And that's exactly what he did. So this is just an amazing, amazing way to be able to make absolute tons and tons of cash and tons of money in this business. And again, using none of your own money, just simply understanding how to use OPM or other people's money. The key here is to be able to access the resources. We have the resources for you. We have the investor partners for you. We have the other people's money networks for you in a way that you'll just never simply find anywhere else. So you need the money to be able to get into this. But the cool thing is it doesn't have to be your money. It can be partnerships, other resources, and other strategies to be able to become a multi-million-dollar real estate investor. All right. So how much would your life change even if you were making a $250,000 per year net profits cash flow using the strategy? You could probably go anywhere you want. This is me and my daughter in Greece. It's one of our recent European trips that we took. And this business allows me to pretty much do anything that I want to do whenever I want to do it. I could take a week off, I could take a month off, I could take 2 months off. It does not matter because I have the cash flow coming in. And this is where your life can completely change, is because you have options where you don't have to be working nose to the grind, dealing with a boss you hate, dealing with a business you hate. One of my newer students, he's actually a contractor and he makes a ton of money as a contractor, but he literally hates his business because he feels like he is ball and chain to the business, working 16-hour days, dealing with, he said he has got like 60 employees. They're all driving him crazy. And he told me, he's like, Monica, I thought I was getting involved in the American dream, and it turns out it's the American nightmare. So he recently came on board with this because he doesn't want to be in the American nightmare anymore. He actually wants to be in what he thought he was going into the American dream, and actually truly going now into the American dream with this cash flowing real estate opportunity. So you'll be able to work much less than what you work now, 20 hours per week or less. If you're doing partnerships, probably not anything at all. You'll be able to travel and go wherever you want to go. You can up and leave at any point in time. You'd be able to move into your dream home or get a second home. You'd be able to retire your spouse. You'd be able to pay for a new house or new new car for your parents or your kids or your grandkids. You'd be able to donate more to charity or the church. You'd be able to buy a brand new car or a fleet of cars for yourself. You could do whatever you want to do with this money. If you're making the bare minimum, if you follow what I tell you to do, you'll be able to make $250,000 in net profits per year with this strategy. Okay. So even better, you can kickstart your entire real estate cash flow empire, putting your first deal under contract within the next 14 to 28 days from starting. Now, how many of you are actually curious to find out how this can happen for you? You at least bit a little bit curious and how this can happen? I'm going to share this with you, all right? So you only have two options available. Option number one is you do it yourself. And you can also use our money resources. We'll basically share with you exactly how to do this entire business step by step using all of our resources, and we'll basically give you the blueprint on exactly how to do it. And that is through my unique 10-week multifamily local Section 8 housing mentorship group. It's coming up. I've never done a multifamily local Section 8 housing mentorship group, and I'll be doing one, and it's coming up, and it will be the only event I do in 2025 for real estate. It's the only one, okay? And in this group, I'll be showing you exactly what you need to do step by step in becoming successful in acquiring multifamily buildings for local Section 8 housing using none of your own money. You'll be able to access the 100% LTV bond funding program. You'll also be able to access the unsecured cash that you need to raise the bond, that 2%, remember? And then other cash that you're going to need, like to furnish the units, for example, any renovations that maybe the bond funding program doesn't cover. You'll be able to get all that in the unsecured cash and other resources that we have for you. And this will help you come out of pocket using $0 of your own money. And by the way, if you're wondering if the bond funding people are strict on credit, they're not strict on credit. Of course, they don't want any recent bankruptcies or foreclosures. And if you do have a recent bankruptcy or foreclosure, consider using some kind of credit partner that you might have in your family. You might have a spouse that has decent credit or hasn't had a foreclosure or a bankruptcy. You might have a parent who has not had a recent bankruptcy or foreclosure that you can use as a partner. So if you yourself have gone through a recent bankruptcy or foreclosure, consider somebody in your family that you could partner with that you can go in on the bond funding program. They don't have to come up with any money. They just have to be able to show some credibility if you just simply recently gone through a foreclosure or bankruptcy. So this is a 10-week live mentorship group, and it's a multifamily local Section 8 mentorship group. Plus, you'll be able to access the cash, the loans, the resources, all the additional stuff that you need to be able to facilitate these deals. This group starts on January 8th, 2025. That's when this group starts. So you're probably thinking, well, Monica, that's a little while away. Well, that's great, but there's some homework that you have to do before the group actually starts, which is why I'm giving this to you right now. And that is this. By the way, this is the only group I'll be doing in 2025. I think I just mentioned that, but this was the only real estate group I will be doing in 2025. I will be doing no more real estate at all in 2025. So just keep that in mind. Before this group starts, this is your homework that I want you to do, which is why you need a little bit of lead time before we get to the group start. And that is, you're going to go through my local Section 8 crash course. You're going to go through my Business Credit Millionaire crash course. And you're going to be also going through my funding resources. So then that way you at least have the resources and you can start either calling them up or starting to establish relationships or just have the Rolodex of people available to you so that you know that they're there for when you need them. But this is a little bit of homework that I'd like you to do before we get started with the actual 2025 group, the 10-week multifamily local Section 8 mentorship group. So that's why I'd like you to get started with this now. And the cool thing is the local Section 8 crash course, the Business Credit Millionaire crash course, they're pretty quick to go through. So it's not going to take, weeks and weeks for you to go through it. It's pretty fast, and I'd like you to go through them before we start the group in January, okay? So this is my holiday blowout deal. I was thinking about a price on this, and I'm like, I want to make this as affordable as possible for people because I was originally going to go high on it. But I'm like, well, the holidays are coming up. I think I should offer a really good killer kick-ass deal for people. So this is what I came up with. 4 payments of $299 each or 1 payment of $997. And if you do the full pay, you also get the investor partner bonus resources where you'll actually have the actual 2025 Rolodex of investor partners that you can connect with to be able to do additional investor partner deals, or you can do local Section 8 investor partnership deals. This is a brand spanking new list, and you only get it with the full pay of $997. Otherwise, you can do the 4 payments of $299 each, and you can become part of the upcoming 10-week multifamily local Section 8 mentorship group. It's the only real estate related mentorship group I will be doing in 2025. You will also get all the other bonuses as well, including all the crash courses and including all the additional cash resources to be able to get started with your business. So if you want to jump on board with this immediately, you want to go to easystreetmillionaire.com. Make sure you don't add the www part in the search bar. Just put in easystreetmillionaire.com and jump on board right now. So then that way you can access the crash courses before the actual course starts, because we want to start 2025 off strong. We actually want to get involved in making a ton of money as close to the early part of the new year as possible. We don't want to drag ass. We don't want to wait and dilly-dally and then finally get off our ass at the summertime. We want to be able to hit the ground running come 2025 before the S hits the fan, and before it's too late. You don't want to get desperate. You don't want to be in a desperate situation. You want to slowly immerse yourself into this, really get into the groove of this kind of real estate, and you want to not be desperate, because when you're in a desperate state of mind, nothing ever works out for you. So you really want to get into this business, ease into it, learn everything that you need to know, and get involved. And I actually guarantee that if you follow all of the steps in the group, the 10-week group, you will put a deal under contract before the end of the 10 weeks. I do guarantee that, okay? So again, you have to follow the steps. You have to go through the course. You have to do everything. You have to go through the whole 10 weeks, not sign up and then, decide to bone out after a week. You have to sign up and commit to the whole 10 weeks. And then I ultimately will guarantee that you will put a deal under contract in 10 weeks. All right. Now, here's option 2. You can level up and decide you want to do 4 deals in 12 months, and you also want to be participating in the group partnerships, kind of like the group partnership that I outlined for you earlier. And if that is something that you're interested in, then we're going to level up. So in addition to you being part of the 10-week group that's coming up, you could also be part of my 4 Deals to Freedom apprenticeship group. That's my highest level group. So kind of like this deal, where after all expenses, this building is worth approximately $50,000 a month in net profits. We have 4 deals that are 4 students that are splitting this deal. Each student is getting $12,500 per month on this deal. But this building, this is the most important part. This building is being managed by one partner who is boots on the ground in Detroit, which means you'll never have to worry about filling the units, putting furniture in the units, renovating units, doing anything with the units at all. You just simply get a check every single quarter for your portion of the deal. So that's how these deals work. But we only allow people that are in our 4 Deals to Freedom apprenticeship group to participate in these kinds of group deals, to where you can literally participate in the deals and not have any of the management stress, and yet you can share the cash flow. That's the cool thing about these deals, is that you could participate in these cash flowing partnership deals without doing anything with them at all. So you can get 8 of these group deals, and that will give you a net profit of $100,000 per month in cash flow if you do 8 of these deals. Or you can be one of the 2 partners on a deal, and you only have to get, a handful of deals, like 4 deals, and that's it. Or 2 deals, or whatever it is. So you don't have to partner with 3 other people. You can just be one partner and then partner directly with the boots on the ground in the Detroit area. Yes, we only invest in Detroit. Don't ask about other cities. If you want to invest in another city, then do it yourself in your other city, because we don't handle the management in another city. We have our whole management infrastructure, all of our boots on the ground, our contractors, everything in the greater Detroit area, and we do very well in the great Detroit area. So if you're not interested in Detroit, then you're not going to be part of this partnership. That's fine. But then you're going to have to go into your own local city and then manage your own properties there. Sometimes it's a little hard for people. That's cool. But, I teach you everything you need to know in the 10-week group, so you don't have to worry about, not knowing something. I share with you exactly what you need to know. However, if you're one of these people that just would rather hands off, have somebody else do it for me, I just want to share the cash flow and that's it, and not worry about it, then you want to be part of these group deals, which is the 4 Deals to Freedom apprenticeship group. So here's how you can participate in these group deals, and that is through the 4 Deals to Freedom apprenticeship group. Total value $30,000, but you won't have to pay that. Let's talk about who this apprenticeship group is for. It's for the person who wants to acquire cash flowing traditional community housing through investor partnerships and group deals using our resources, and you're willing to follow through all the instructions I give. You have to also be an easy person to work with as well. You also have to be someone who makes no excuses. You just have to do a little bit of work, which is basically helping us find some of the deals in the greater Detroit area. That's it. We already have all of the government agencies and organizations. We already have, like I said, all the contractors, all the people that do everything. You just have to help us find some deals there, which is pretty easy. You know how to use a mouse, right? You know how to use a keyboard. You know how to use Zillow.com. You just basically help us find some houses or help us find some apartment buildings on LoopNet. Maybe make some calls to some, real estate agents in that area, figure out what the story is on the properties, and that's basically all you have to do if you want to be part of the group deals. Person number 3, hopefully this is you. You have a burning desire to become a real estate millionaire and not just a lukewarm tire kicker, because going to the 4 Deals to Freedom level, that's my highest level group, my apprenticeship group. You can't just be a tire kicker. You have to be super serious and ready to roll with it. Not only that, you have to be ready to retire, sick and tired of maybe all the shiny objects that you've been running after all these years, maybe sick and tired of all the false starts that you've been going through, and finally ready to pull the trigger in a very serious way. And that's only for those of you that are feeling that right now, that are ready for the apprenticeship group. So here's a bonus for you. You'll also be able to get the local Section 8 quick start crash course like everybody else, as well as, which by the way is 6 Power Pack training modules. Everybody's going to get that. But you'll also get, most importantly, the partnership opportunities, the group deal opportunities. Subject to mentorship group modules, you'll also get these as well, because you do need to be thoroughly trained with the subject to stuff if you want to fully understand exactly how the whole process of getting subject to deals maybe in your local area works, as far as those 4-bedroom, 2-bath houses that I was talking about. I'll also give you the credit stack attack. We're going to learn how to gain access to unsecured business credit to help you get hundreds of thousands, even $1 million or more, using other people's money. But it doesn't end there. You'll also get cash brokers and lenders who can get you the cash you need for your subject to deals, as well as for your regular conventional deals as well. And so there's even more. And that is local Section 8 Riches specialty lender that specifically funds these specialty property deals. It's not the 100% LTV bond funding people, but it's also a specific lender that works with these properties for a more conventional loan. So take JC. He makes $46,000 per month with his apartment buildings, and he was able to use our funding sources to purchase 3 apartment buildings. And initially, he started to rent these out as traditional units. However, he started to realize that there just wasn't enough money in them, so he started converting these traditional units to local Section 8 units. And he began converting or starting to make tons and tons of money, going from $5,400 a month, which is almost nothing considering the amount of property he had, to over $46,000 a month in net profits, using this one simple shift, going from traditional rentals to local Section 8 rentals. Listen, you guys, this is where the rubber meets the road. This is the core secret here. You can whine and bitch and complain about how you don't want to work with people who used to be drug addicts, or you don't want to work with people who used to be incarcerated. Well, number one, these people are really trying to change their lives. Number two, you'll have less problems with those people than you'll have with regular people out there. Trust me on this. I've learned this, to where I thought, oh, are these former drug addicts going to be a problem? Well, most of them really want to turn their life around and change their life. Same with people that are post-incarcerated looking for a place to stay, and you're able to help these people, have a place to stay. They're trying to stay out of trouble. They have a probation or a parole officer that's looming over them at all times. They don't want to go back to prison. You'll have less problems with people that are post-incarcerated than you'll have, again, with traditional renters, believe it or not. So if you make the shift going from traditional rentals to local Section 8, using different demographic sections or sectors of the population, whether it's veterans, whether it's abused women, whether it's there's not a lot of homeless programs, believe it or not, unfortunately, in a lot of areas of the country, but homeless in some areas, post-rehabilitation, drug and alcohol, post-incarceration. If you work with any of those kinds of demographic sectors, you're going to be able to make a lot of money with this local Section 8 opportunity. And that's the one shift that you need to understand to really make a lot of money with rental real estate. And even better, you'll have access to the same money resources that JC had for all of his apartments that he's got. So pretty powerful stuff, don't you think? I absolutely think so. In fact, I know so. So far, this is what you're getting when you come into the 4 Deals to Freedom Apprenticeship Group. You'll be able to get all of this, and you're probably thinking, okay, well, closing one deal, what's that worth to me? Well, I can't tell you what it's worth to you. You could tell me what it's worth to you. How much is it worth to you? 10,000, 25,000? I mean, how much is this worth to you? How much is financial freedom worth to you? How much is it worth to you for you to do group deals? We don't have to manage anything, and you just simply be part of a group deal. I mean, how powerful is that going to be? That's got to be priceless, all right? And so I'll be able to not only show you how to get through the entire process from A to X, but I could also fill in the blank on Y and Z by offering the group partnership deals that are not available in any other way except to be part of the 4 Deals to Freedom apprenticeship group, all right? And so you'll also get all your legal forms, your contracts that you need to facilitate all your deals. And of course, it costs me thousands of dollars to have these legal forms and contracts drafted for my deals, and now you can have them as a fast action bonus. So for the first 3 people, I have something amazing. You could also do a 1-hour one-on-one consulting session with me every 60 days. And I also do trainings, constant trainings. We meet every 2 weeks by way of Zoom. We talk about our deals, you could talk about whatever deals you want to bring to the table for the group deal. You could talk about your own deals. And we talk as far as what's going on. We do this every other week. And so we also can build a website for you for your support, for your housing to support recovery, or for whatever demographic sector you decide to work with, whether it's abused women, veterans, etc. We can build a very specialized website so that when you're working with these government agencies and organizations, you look professional to them. And then that way they can refer to a very basic website to see that you are legitimate. So this is kind of what the website looks like. So far, this is what you're getting, all of this stuff when you're part of the 4 Deals to Freedom apprenticeship group. But again, the most important part is going to be able to be part of those group deals that you can make money on every single month. And most importantly, you don't have to manage any of it. You basically just receive money and that's it. All right, so you could see why that this would be an absolute steal at $40,000 or even $30,000. But I wanted to make this a little bit more affordable to people. I didn't want to completely rake you over the coals, but at the same time, you have to understand there are a lot of resources and a lot of moving parts that go into these 4 Deals to Freedom apprenticeship group deals that you have to understand. And it's not just your regular mentorship group. There's a lot of layers of difficulty and complication on our part that we need to make sure that we can ensure that we facilitate these deals for you. So here's my offer you can't refuse when it comes to the 4 Deals to Freedom apprenticeship group. You can either do $20,000 and that's a prepaid bonus, or you can do 12 payments because it's a year program of $2,000 each. And that's how you can do it. You can actually go to apprenticefinancing.com to get started if you wanted to actually do this part of it. If you want to be part of the 4 Deals to Freedom apprenticeship group where you can participate in group deals, and we actually facilitate the investment of the deals and you basically get paid, this is the only way that you can be part of those group deals if this is what you're interested in. The alternative, obviously, is that you can become part of the other group, which is obviously a lot less expensive. So it's completely up to you, to where you'll be able to get all of the benefits of the apprenticeship group, except that you're not going to be able to participate in group deals or any partnership deals that we have. However, we'll show you exactly how to become highly successful in your own deals in your own local area, as well as being able to access all of our financial resources to be able to facilitate those deals. So what do you want to do? You can sit on the sidelines and do nothing, or you can decide to play the game and score and stop chasing after the next shiny object, and to finally start making some money, some real money, instead of talking about it or dreaming about it or signing up for the next program or reading the next book or getting the next course. Actually playing the game and finally scoring. It's completely up to you. So if you want to be part of the 4 Deals to Freedom apprenticeship group, you go to apprenticefinancing.com. It's $2,000 a month or $20,000 today, and you save yourself $4,000. Or you can join the mentorship group instead. My new holiday blowout deal, where for a limited time only, you get to pay 4 payments at $299 each, or 1 payment of $997. So it's completely up to you on whether or not you're ready for the 4 Deals to Freedom. You might not be, because it's a costly deal. I mean, it's not cheap to be part of those group deals. And it's worth it. If each group deal brings you, $10,000 plus a month, it's definitely worth it. Somebody else managing the property for you, it's definitely worth it. But it might be too rich for your blood, and I totally understand. In which case, you probably want to sign up for the mentorship group instead. It's a 10-week mentorship group starting on January 8th. And you'll also get a bunch of bonuses, crash courses, and so forth that you have as homework before the group starts, so then you can hit the ground running with the only real estate mentorship group I'll be doing in 2025. It's only for 4 payments of $299 each or 1 payment of $997. You go to easystreetmillionaire.com and get started right now, because this is a limited time offer. This is my holiday blowout, which means that I'm probably not going to raise the price to $2,997, but in the next I would say in the next week or so, I'm going to raise it at least double. So it'll be $19.97 for 1 payment, or it'll be for payment probably of like $5.98 each. So you don't want to pay double later. You definitely want to do this now if you're interested. And of course, full pay gets the investor partner bonus resources, where I give you the 2025 list of investor partners that you could work with that can do deals with you, and they can give you the money for your deals. So if you didn't sign up immediately, maybe you're just not ready to invest in yourself, or maybe you don't believe that you're capable, or maybe you just think that this is just another rabbit hole that you're going to go down. But the rabbit hole doesn't exist if you're willing to roll up your sleeves and do the work and follow the instructions, all right? Now, if you're interested in the 4 deals to freedom, you can go to apprenticefinancing.com, sign up now, $2,000 a month for 12 months. It's a 12-month program. We guarantee you get 4 deals in the year. If you don't, you stay in the program till you do, even if it takes 2 or 3 years. So that's the cool thing about that, is that we actually guarantee that you get the 4 deals, and you could also be part of those group deals, those highly lucrative group deals as well. So am I really special? Not really. I suck at math, suck at communicating with people. I make a lot of mistakes, but I'm one of the only real estate investors out there that will actually share my personal connections with you, my investor partners, and allow you to do group deals. Nobody else is going to allow you to do that, because that's just not how they roll. But I will do that because I am in the trenches. I am a real deal. I actually do what I tell you that I do. I share with you exactly what I do in the real world of real estate investing. And if you're going to get involved in successful, highly profitable, and lucrative real estate investing, you're going to have to do it with somebody who knows what they're doing, somebody who has the experience like I do. So if you're not going to go with me, or you're not going to learn how to do real estate investing from me, then find somebody who is an in the trenches, real estate investor who could take you under their wing and share with you not only their resources, but exactly what they do step by step. And the reality is, let's be real. You're probably not going to find anybody who's going to want to do that, because most real estate investors are too busy investing in real estate, and they're not really a teacher. And I happen to love teaching, so that's why I do this. I love being in the world of teaching people how to do this. Nothing gives me more pleasure than seeing successful real estate students that I brought from the ground up, that knew nothing and had no resources and didn't know what to do, and made them into millionaires. And I know I can do the same with you through my resources and through my step-by-step blueprint instructions that I'm about to share with you in this upcoming 10-week multifamily local Section 8 mentorship group. So, isn't it much easier to piggyback off of somebody else's connections instead of trying to take 30 years to develop your own connections? It's amazing. People don't bat an eyelash spending $100,000 on a college education that won't even get them a good paying job. But then they hesitate when it comes to working with a real expert who can show them how to make real money using her direct connections and her, money sources and so forth. Like, why is that? It should be a no-brainer. You should have already signed up already. I remember my first college class was on entrepreneurship. It was small business entrepreneurship. And it was halfway through the semester when it was too late to withdraw without losing, without basically having a negative on my transcript, when the college professor admitted to the fact that he never owned a business. Never owned a business. I was so freaking disappointed. And it was at that point that I realized, do any of these people know anything about entrepreneurship? And I realized very quickly that none of them really did. They just basically wrote textbooks that cost hundreds of dollars, and they would teach you all these different things about how you had to hire CPAs and attorneys and all these people before you made your first buck in your business. And none of them really know anything about any kind of business opportunity or cash flowing real estate or investment or anything. And it's really a shame that these people have these kind of credentials to go out there and give misinformation and disinformation to people. And so I learned the hard way, being in the trenches for 30 years, and I want to pass those resources and that knowledge on to you so that you can start your own highly profitable cash flowing real estate business. And I know I can do that for you. Here's when I graduated. It cost me over $100,000 to get both my BS degree in small business entrepreneurship and my MFA degree in creative writing. Neither of these have made me a single cent in the real world of business. I just did it just to do it. So wouldn't you rather get a real world education that can make you real money in the real business world, especially when it comes to real estate investing? So here's what you're getting, all of this stuff, especially if you join me for the 4 Deals to Freedom apprenticeship group. If you're interested, you can go to apprenticefinancing.com to sign up. Or the alternative, obviously, is to join the mentorship group. Instead, it's a 10-week group called the Multifamily Local Section 8 Mentorship Group. It starts on January 8th. And you get a bunch of bonuses and quick starts that you need to go through before the group starts in January to be able to hit the ground running. So full pay gets the Investor Partner 2025 list of all the new investor partners that are wanting to work with people and give money to people for deals. You'll be able to get that with your one-time payment of $997 or 4 payments of $299 each, which is the budget-friendly plan. You can jump on board right now by going to easystreetmillionaire.com. Do not type the www part in the search bar. Just go to easystreetmillionaire.com. All right, everybody, I'm really excited about this January class. Here is the resource that I promised you so that you can actually go ahead and get your unsecured money for your first deal. And this money can be used for your first deal. It could be used to buy a business or to start a business, invest in real estate, whatever it is that you need the money for. This resource can give you the money for that. And so that's the bonus I promised you at the very end of this event, okay? I'm really, really, really excited to work with you on this first, only, and last real estate event I will be doing in 2025 called the Multifamily Local Section 8 Mentorship Group. Here's the details again. 4 payments of $299 each, or 1 payment of $997 if you want to get the Investor Partnership 2025 resource list. Go to easystreetmillionaire.com right now. Do not put the www part in your search bar. Just put easystreetmillionaire.com. Jump on board right now. Right now, it is $997 for the full pay, 4 payments of $299 each, but I will be changing the price. It will be going up in about a week, and those prices will double. I will have the 1 payment at $1,997, and I will have the 4 payments at $598 each. It will double, so you want to get it now before it's too late. You want to get the holiday blowout bonus pricing deal, okay? If you have any questions, you can always call my office. The number is 850-588-5500. Again, 850-588-5500. We're available Monday through Friday from 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. Central Time. And I'm just really excited about this because I don't really do real estate events and especially mentorship groups as much anymore. And I'm just really excited about this Multifamily Local Section 8 group coming up. I just feel like I can really help you and show you the way and get you involved in some cash flowing deals in your local area, as well as helping you completely set up your entire real estate empire. Because think about it, you only really need one deal, one maybe 20 unit or 24 unit apartment building, and you're retired. Just one deal and you're literally retired. Like, how freaking amazing and powerful is that going to be? So I'm really excited to be able to help you out with that and to be able to show you the way in this highly powerful and profitable real estate investment opportunity. All right, everybody, this is Monica Main signing off, and I will see you at the top.